28 years ago, I divorced and asked myself the question, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And the answer was, you're going to live a dream. You're going to explore the world, connect with people in other cultures. That dream was something I gave up when I became a wife, a mother, a responsible citizen. Now I was no longer a wife, my kids were launched, and I no longer wanted to be responsible. I sold or gave away everything I owned, threw a few things in a backpack, and I took off. I still have no home and no possessions, almost no possessions. The beginning, I was scared out of my mind. On the airplane going from Los Angeles to Mexico City, I cried the whole way. I got into a hotel, and I couldn't bring myself to go out to dinner. I was 48 years old. I had never been to dinner alone in a restaurant. And all I could think of, I sort of became an adolescent, all I could think of was, oh my God, they're going to know I have no friends. It isn't easy. Leaping across borders, even stepping across borders. You're out of your comfort zone, and it takes risk. And along with risk, it takes a lot of trust. Trust is something, if you don't have it, you walk around in fear. If you do have it, the world opens up in ways you can't even imagine. The third thing is, I don't make a lot of plans. I go with the flow. If you make plans, they often get in the way of unexpected invitations. Imagine for a minute the world. Put a pin on the spot where you live and take a look at the rest of the world. The continents, the oceans, the islands. Imagine what's going on in other cultures. The art, the dance, the song, the people you'll never meet, the experiences you'll never have if you don't get out of your dot. There are a lot of interesting insights out there that you can't predict. For example, at one point, I was in a slum in India, and I'd been hanging around in this slum for a long time, and I was sitting in a shack with my young friend, 14-year-old friend Gulshan, and he told me, while we're sitting on a dirt floor, no plumbing, no toilet, no bedroom, 8 by 10 maybe, he told me if someone gave him a house, he wouldn't take it. I thought, what? And then he explained, he said, here in the slum, we're all crowded together. I have a lot of mothers. If mine isn't here, I always have a mother who will help me. A little while later, I was in Thailand. Another one of those insights. This one surprised me even more. A woman was cleaning the cabin where I stayed, and I noticed that she had a needle and thread. I got very excited. I walked over to her, and I showed her the blouse I was wearing. It had buttons up the front. And I showed her what happened when I went like this. All the buttons popped, and I was totally exposed. I asked her for the needle. I mimed what it was I wanted to do with it. She thought for maybe 10 seconds and said to me, "You old, nobody care." I never got the needle. A third thing which taught me a lesson for the whole 28 years I've been traveling was a woman in a Zapotec village in Mexico. I was in this village for a month. The first 4 days, none of the women talked to me. They ran away. I would walk out of the little house where I was staying, and I would smile, and I would say, "Buenos dias," and they ran away. Nobody said "Buenos dias," and nobody smiled back. One day, a woman took me into her home. She put a hand-woven skirt on me, the same kind of skirt everybody else was wearing. I was wearing pants and a shirt. Then she put a blouse on me with with beautiful embroidery, the same kind of blouse everybody in the village was wearing. And then she put me out, and all of a sudden, the first thing all these women did was giggle when they saw me, and the second thing they did was smile and say, "Buenos dias." These are things you can't learn in a classroom. A culture has to be absorbed. That face-to-face interaction is magical, and when hearts touch, smiles are shared, eyes are open in new ways to the rest of the world for everyone. At one point, I was in Tanzania, in a boma, in a Maasai boma. It's the round wall of thorny acacia bushes to keep the lions out. And all the goats and all the people and all the fleas and all the flies are inside, and the cows. There were 3 young men who were of the age when they were warriors. Their job was to keep the lions from attacking the boma. But most of the time, there weren't a lot of lions around, and they herded the goats and the cows. I wanted to talk to them, and I wasn't sure how to do it, but I figured out a way. Even warriors can't resist learning how to make animals out of balloons. And the elders in this place were beautiful, soft, gentle people, and I taught them how to blow bubbles. Take a look at that face, so gentle and so lovely. In 2001, I published a book, Tales of a Female Nomad. I put my email in the book, and the last line was, "I can't wait to hear from you." The majority of the people have said, I've had thousands of responses. One of the commonest comments is, "You're so courageous, I can't believe you're doing this, I could never do it." I'm not that courageous. I just know at this point that when I take that step into another culture, it's going to be warm and welcoming, and it's a beautiful world. The second comment was, "It's expensive, I could never do it. I don't know where you get the money." It's not expensive if you go to the developing world. And when you're in a village, ask around if there's a bed for you in somebody's house. You know what, they'll always move the kid to another house so they can make $5. Now, you might have to put up with lizards on the wall and certainly an outdoor bathroom and cold water, but that connecting is worth every lizard you'll see. The other possibility is there are organizations. Most people know about couch surfing. There's woofing, where you can work for room and board on a farm. But my favorite is Servas. Servas has 15,000 people around the world who want you to come visit them for 2 nights. That's why they're in the organization. They get nothing out of it. They get no money, just you. And they bring you in and they feed you dinner and they show you your village, and then they'll help you plan the rest of the trip in their country. It's an amazing organization, and the best part of it is that every Servas host has been face-to-face interviewed, so it's 100% safe. And you too, as a traveler, have been face-to-face interviewed. The last little story I'm going to tell you before I get into my passion. I was hiking with 3 women in Irian Jaya. Irian Jaya is the Indonesian half of New Guinea. We 3 had put together a team. There was a guide, there was a cook, there were 5 guys carrying our bags. We got to this little village the very first night. Cook cooked us a meal, we finished, and we were told to follow a group of 10 men into another hut. So we 4 white Western women followed this group of people into another hut. There were 10 men sitting across from us, the 4 of us, and I want to give you a quick description. We 4 are wearing top to bottom, long sleeves. It is the capital of malaria in the world. Our socks are tucked into our pants. We are protecting ourselves. The men, on the other hand, are wearing penis gourds. Some of them were long and narrow. Some of them were big and fat. Some of them were short. Some of them were crooked. I had this image as I sat there that these guys would wake up in the morning and look at a shelf in their grass hut, a shelf full of penis gourds, and say, "What do I feel like today?" So there we were, sitting opposite these guys, and I decided I would talk. At this point, I am speaking Indonesian. I've been living in Bali. I'm sorry, did somebody call something? Okay, I've been living in Bali for a number of years, and I speak Indonesian. I said to the people there, I said, "I would like to thank you for your gorgeous jungle that we've been walking in all day, for the trees, for the cockatoos, for the emus running, and the orchids. And I would like to thank you for your generosity in letting us stay in your village tonight. Now we will sing to you." And we sang, "You Are My Sunshine," "Home on the Range," and "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning." And then I stopped, and I said, "Now it is your turn." I wasn't even sure they would understand the word turn, the concept. But they huddled together, they spread out, and they began to sing. And the first two songs they sang were clearly missionary-taught songs. They had been there before us. The third one went something like this. Tears are streaming down my face. These guys, I'm in the middle of the jungle, and these guys are singing to me. It was gorgeous. And then they stopped, and they looked at us, and they said, "Now it is your turn." We came up with, "Old MacDonald had a farm." We oinked, and we quacked, and we mooed, and we cock-a-doodle-dooed, and everybody was laughing. We were laughing, they were laughing, and I encouraged them, and they began to moo and oink and quack along with us. It was very clear that they felt the magic of that connection as much as we did. There was laughter, there were tears on their eyes, ours. It was absolutely gorgeous, heart-pounding joy. We were opposite ends of the spectrum of life on Earth, and we were one. Probably the most poignant moment of 28 years. I would love if every one of you got out of the country, go home, put a few things in a backpack, and take off. It would change your lives. It would change how you see the world. But it's probably not going to happen. So I'm focusing in on youth. They're the leaders of the future. My dream is to have a country that understands that common humanity that we all share. I'm promoting a gap year. A gap year is a year, even 3 months or 6 months, after high school, before college, for experiential education. Go for it. It's a time to grow up. It's a time to figure out who you are. It's a time to figure out what the world is. And anybody who does a gap year comes home different. There's a sparkle in their eyes. Something special happens, and you can see it. There are a ton of programs about absolutely everything. You can go to, these students, they can go work with elephants in India. They can teach English in Ghana. There are a zillion programs, and there's a new organization called the American Gap Association, which is certifying programs. So that if you send somebody out on one of these programs, or if you're one of the students, you know that you meet certain standards, and the program will be safe. The dream of the American Gap Association, along with me, is that we have a gap year movement, a real strong, serious gap year movement in the United States. They do it in England, they do it in Germany, they do it in Australia. In New Zealand, they call it the big OE, Overseas Experience. If they can do it, why can't we? So right now, what we're doing is working hard to build a gap year momentum, a gap year movement in the US. Now, the one thing we've talked a lot about is you can't have a gap year movement if it's only for the wealthy. It has to go across the board. It has to be for everyone. And we are starting a group within the American Gap Association called Back a Gapper. Here's where you come in. We want to build teams of people who will talk to everybody they know. Talk to your friends, talk to even people you don't know. People you know have the money to back a gapper. It's a very sexy idea. People really like it. It's most people, and I've been talking about this for probably 3 years, very few people say, oh, who would want to leave the country? Or maybe they just don't tell me. But the fact is that almost everyone I've spoken to thinks it's a really good idea. I want you on the team. Honestly, go out and talk to people. Then go to the American Gap Association, sign on, let them know that you're working on this, read the site, go to the Back a Gapper section, go to the financial aid section, and as the scholarships are coming in, we're going to list them. Tell your donors to do the same thing. You don't even have to know all the donors. Just get people you know. You know, there are business people, relatives, neighbors, people you don't even know have money. Talk it all up and let them be the ones who go to the American Gap Association. Let them be the ones who sign on, who contact Ethan Knight, who is the executive director. Donors can decide where the scholarship will go. They can decide the kind of program they want. They can even help in the choice. But you, your donors, go to that site, sign on, tell them to sign on. It will change thousands of lives. It will change the country. And together, we can change the world. The American Gap Association can't wait to hear from you. Thank you.